What's going on, guys? TKD 1, 2, 3 back with you. And yes, it is a Friday. I understand that usually reviews come out on Sunday, but there will be a review on Sunday. I just thought, might as well just double up this week since I'm falling a little bit behind on albums I want to talk about. So let's talk about a big one here this Friday, a little bit of a different thing. Maybe this might be a new thing. I don't know. Maybe we might do 2 albums a week. Who knows? But I wanted to, since both these albums are pretty small, I figured I might as well just do them in the same week. And this album that we're going to review today is an album that we discuss time and time again on the channel. I'm sure you're already aware of what I'm going to say right now, obviously by the title and everything. And this album has gotten a lot of controversy, has gotten a lot of talk throughout the community, and let's talk about Jay-Z's 444. Now, just the lead up to this album, releasing and everything and being a thing, there was really, kind of no mind share amongst people to really discuss how the album would turn out to be. Like if it would be good, if it would be bad. We got no, extra tracks from this thing. Like we have no tracks that were released prior to the album release. So that's a thing as well. So it really was all kind of up in the air whether this album was gonna be good or bad. And really no one discussed it because of all of the, of course, controversy that we had where he was gonna put it on Tidal for 6 months exclusively. And if you were a Sprint owner, you can get it no matter what. But if you were a Tidal subscriber and not a Sprint owner, you couldn't get it. All these crazy things that we will talk about a little bit later. But let's delve into the logistics of 444. So this album here is 10 tracks long, so it's a pretty, nice sizable album, I would say. However, where this album lacks is the playtime. This album is only 36 minutes long. So from my end, it was pretty short. Honestly, I felt there were a lot of times where I would be, just driving downtown, driving somewhere, and I would go through the album just like that. So it was a pretty short album, I would say. And upon finishing the album, I was left with a lot of kind of wanting to hear more, right? Like wanting to hear more of what Jay-Z wanted to say, wanting to hear more of the album overall. And that does speak a lot to how the album, how I felt about it. But overall, just speaking from just a general standpoint, it is a very short project. I was hoping for a little bit more, but 36 minutes is like in the EP territory. Like it sounds like the EP range. Of course, there are EPs that go shorter. Like the one that I'm reviewing next on Sunday is legitimately, I think, 19 minutes, 18 minutes, something crazy like that. I forgot what it was, but that one obviously short, and that one is titled correctly as an EP, right? But just when we have a full straight up album here, 36 minutes, it doesn't, it's not up to the smuck of being an album. Just from my perspective, of really talking about playtime, what I'm saying? But that's how it is. It's a short album. And let's get into the quality of these songs. Now with track 1 here, Kill Jay-Z, that one got a lot of talk amongst, everyone on Twitter really, and even the Kardashians as well, because he seems to allude to a lot of shots being taken by Kanye West. Like he takes a lot of shots at Kanye West. He says quotes, if I just remember also on my head, like, this fuck everything mentality, like it's not working, all this stuff like that. Something that, Kanye West tends to do and other things like that, and saying that he lost his way, all this stuff that is never really said it's to Kanye West, but it's pretty clear that it's to Kanye West. And of course, when this album first dropped, and when this album first dropped, a couple days after that, we have the news that Kanye West left Tidal. So I'm sure there is some mix of, this controversy, into the decision making of Kanye West leaving Tidal and stuff like that. But overall, it's a pretty strong intro, I'd say. Like, it's not the best intro I've heard, but I'd say it's a very much of an intro that really does set the precedent and really is such a volatile intro, I would say. What I'm saying? Like, it's very it's almost like someone stabs you with a spear and then like tells you to pay attention, right? And then it gets you into the rest of the album, and it's a great ride. It's a really great ride. And then we get into the story of OJ, which I feel is a great, track to just cruise in your car, whatever. You're just chilling down the block, you're driving home. That's a very much of a nice, just laid back song, I'd say. I love that song. And he has some witty lines about how like OJ, you know, once said, "I'm not black, I'm OJ," and then Jay-Z pauses a little bit and goes, "Okay," like, you know, so there is some wittiness that you kind of expect from a Jay-Z album, you know, at least of what I've heard, what to expect, because, you know, to be honest here, you know, this is going to be a little, you know, disclaimer here. I've never fully reviewed a Jay-Z album before, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was a little bit, you know, prior to my loving of hip-hop days, you know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't, if I remember correctly, like, other than Watch the Throne, you know, and a couple other things there, I think his last albums were, I think, the Blueprint series back in, like, the, 2009 era, 2010 a little bit, so that was definitely kind of beyond my reach. Of, you know, thinking about hip-hop in this way, like in this manner, but you know, overall this was a very, very good album. I'd say, like, a nice introduction, at least for me, to a full Jay-Z album, you know, as I feel. And I've heard that previously in the past that, you know, like, Jay-Z is one to be witty with his lines, a little bit humorous in ways, so definitely it does show in the story of OJ. And then we go on to Smile, and this is where, you know, he lays out some personal things, man. Like, you know, I believe, you know, so the person that's on this track with him is Gloria Carter, and I assume that's his mother, right? Just because of the last name. Like, I'm just assuming. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%, but I'm under the, you know, assumption that that is, you know, his mother's vocals or whatever, something like that. And in this song, he outs that, you know, his mom was a lesbian, and yeah, she had 2 kids or whatever, but you know, and he preaches that, like, he can't wait to see her fall in love, whatever, and he cried when, you know, she finally did fall in love and stuff like that. And, you know, just this overall thing of just kind of like a nice, you know, not send off, but just a nice sentiment to Jay-Z and his mother. It's a very, very cool track there. So we move on to one of the stronger features on this, and really, you know, I would say generally the most prominent that, you know, you would probably know is Frank Ocean. He is on Caught Their Eyes, and you know, it's a nice feature. I was hoping for a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always want, right? So, like, you know, when there's a feature, right, I never want the feature to just be the hook or just be something. Like, I would love for him to get a verse, right? And, you know, he didn't really get a verse in this one, but overall it's still you know, a great track overall. 444, you know, honestly, one of the most personal tracks on this, and arguably the most personal, right? And this is where he talks about you know, him cheating on Beyonce and stuff like that, and how that could have detrimented his relationship with her and the babies and stuff like that, and Blue Ivy and the new twins, whatever, and stuff like that. So this one is definitely much more of a personal one. So this does kind of really, you know, it's deep, man. Like there's some serious stuff in this one. It's not deep like in a bad way, but just deep in its content, if you will, like deep in its lines. Overall, this is a very, very serious track. I love 444. And then my favorite track out of the whole project is Family Feud. Now this, of course, is not listed, but it features some vocals from Beyonce, and there's something about this track that I just love. I don't know if it's Beyonce's vocals in the back, I don't know if it's just Jay-Z's flow in this, but this is by far my favorite track out of the whole thing. I love Family Feud. It just is just such a cool track, you know, to me, right? It feels like it's a living, breathing track. That's what I aspire for, I look for, and I definitely do love Family Feud overall. And just quickly, you know, just going on, you know, rather than just talking about every single track in a row, Moonlight is very, very, I would say, aggressive, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like, he goes after pretty much every Lil rapper, like, you know, that rapper that has like a Lil in front of his name, of course, other than Wayne, of course, you know what I'm saying? But you know, all these new rappers coming up, right? And he talks about how, like, they incriminate themselves, and they, you know, are just mumble rappers, low-key, and stuff like that. And like, he's very, very, you know, aggressive towards this, right? And obviously you would expect that low-key from Jay-Z, you know, being from another era of hip-hop, you know what I'm saying, being someone that's been in the game for a few, you know, a pretty substantial amount of years now, over 10 years, I'd say, probably over 10 years, most like, of course, over 10 years, I'm a dumbass, but you know what I'm saying, like he's a seasoned artist, right? So you would assume, you know what I'm saying, that there would be a little bit of, you know, aggressiveness towards these new people that, you know, he feels aren't worthy you know, the listens, the crowds, etc., stuff like that. So definitely is a very, very cool track there. And the last track I want to talk on here is Legacy. This is where, you know, he's kind of talking about kind of the wrap up, right? Basically, it's like a very, very nice wrap up, I'd say, for the album. It's one of the better outros I've heard of the year, right? Definitely something that's very, very personal, very real, and overall, it's a very, very nice kind of period to this whole entire 444 album. So, you know, overall, you know, would I recommend this album, right? Of course, you all know, based off what I've said here, I clearly did enjoy 444 for what it was. I loved it. It was a very, very cool album. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it was such a kind of a bit of a fresh air for me, right? Because, you know, when it comes to just straight rap, right? Not speaking about R&B, not speaking about any other kind of genre, right? If we're talking about just rap hip hop, I definitely prefer more of an East Coast sound, right? For example, Bas. Bas is one of my favorite rappers of all time, definitely 100%. He's underrated, of course. He's not well known, but, you know, he's on Dreamville. I love Bas. I just saw him recently in my J. Cole vlog. Make sure to check that out because that was legit. But, you know, overall, Bas is one of my favorites, right? And he also is from that East Coast. Like, he's from Queens, where I'm from, right? And so with Jay-Z being from New York as well, it kind of dwells itself into having that same vibe. So overall, rap-wise, I love this. You know what I'm saying? I love Jay-Z's flow just because I'm such a big fan of that East Coast rap. For example, in kind of comparison, Kaz, for example, he's from LA, and, you know, his stuff is good, but it's just not my favorite. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not really, you know, my type of, you know, side of the spectrum I would like to be on and like to hear, just because, you know, I'm just more, you know, biased, I feel, towards that East Coast sound, right? So overall, I love this album, okay? Now, the way this album was introduced initially, right? It being on Tidal exclusively for 6 months, it being for only Sprint subscribers after that, right? I would not recommend it just because I would, you know, love to put a flag in, you know, the freedom of content, if you will. You know what I'm saying? The freedom of music to get it no matter where it is. And I feel like that should be, you know, that should be the main thing going forward, right? And of course there are, you know, intricacies to that whole argument. But, you know, now with 444 being on iTunes for purchase, being on Apple Music as well now, and there's other ways and means to get it, you know what I'm saying? I definitely do recommend it now, right? And there are physical CDs available right now, even with those 3 bonus tracks, which obviously were not included in this review. However, you know, it's maybe I'll somehow get my thoughts on that. I'm not sure how I'll get my thoughts on it, but maybe I will, maybe I won't. Who knows? But you know, overall, you know, with its current way it's being released right now, I would recommend it 100%. If you have Apple Music, definitely stream it. If you have iTunes and want to pay for it, go ahead. By all means, I feel like this is definitely warranted, you know what I'm saying? But under its previous way of coming out, I would not have done it. I would not have recommended it to you all. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for my 444 review. If you all enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share down below. I appreciate all the feedback you guys give me. Thanks for watching, and as always, I got you.